If your creativity feels stuck, the problem likely isn't your brain, but your chair. We assume creative blocks are a failure of willpower, yet research from Stanford reveals a mechanical switch most of us ignore. A specific change in physical state can boost idea generation by 60%, and it has nothing to do with relaxing or getting fresh air. Your brain was never designed to generate novel insights while your body is frozen in a single posture. We need to examine why your desk is killing your best work and exactly how to fix it. Creativity is not a skill you force, but a biological state you enter. Your brain operates on a balance between two primary networks. The executive control network allows you to focus, execute rules, and edit work, which is what you use when staring at a spreadsheet. Insight comes from the default mode network. This system governs association, daydreaming, and connecting unrelated ideas. These two networks operate like a seesaw. When you sit at a desk with a fixed gaze and high-focus tasks, you lock yourself into executive control. You are chemically suppressing the exact network required for a breakthrough. No amount of coffee triggers the default mode network, because only a change in context does. Most people think walking helps because of blood flow, but that is barely half the story. In 2014, researchers Opezzo and Schwartz at Stanford University ran a major experiment testing divergent thinking in people sitting versus people walking. The walkers saw a 60% spike in creative output. It worked even when they walked on a treadmill facing a boring, blank wall. This destroyed the theory that you need beautiful scenery to be creative. The act of walking signals the brain to switch gears through motor engagement. You do not need a hike in the woods, just to disengage the body from a static position to access the mind. Your brain is fundamentally a prediction machine, with a primary job to predict what happens next to save energy. When you sit at the same desk in the same room with the same lighting for 4 hours, your prediction error drops to 0. Your brain effectively says it knows exactly what is happening here and conserves energy by shutting down exploratory cognition. This is fatal for creativity. Movement introduces micro-uncertainties. As the floor changes texture, the light shifts, and the sounds vary. These tiny prediction errors push your brain out of optimization mode and into exploration mode. You cannot think outside the box when your physical box has become entirely predictable. We analyze the mechanics of high performance every week, so subscribe if you want to understand the biology behind your best work. One major mistake often ruins this entire process. 90% of people fail here because they head outside but bring their phone. They listen to a podcast, scroll emails, or text a friend, which completely cancels the neurological benefit. The goal is to engage the default mode network, which requires an undemanding state. If you are processing information from a screen, your executive control network is still driving. You might be physically walking, but mentally you are still at your desk. For the reset to work, your mind needs permission to wander, rather than another task to process. Leave the phone behind, because boredom is not the enemy, but the trigger. The most prolific creators do not rely on endless marathon sessions, but on oscillation. They cycle between intense focus and deliberate defocus. The next time you hit a wall, stop immediately rather than pushing through. Stand up and walk away from the screen. Even 5 minutes of pacing in a hallway is enough to reset your prediction errors and engage the default mode network. Write down the ideas that surface, then sit back down to execute them. Creativity is not about staying in the zone, but knowing when to leave it and when to come back. We often treat our brains like computers that just need more power, but they are biological systems that need state changes. If the answer isn't coming to you, the solution isn't to think harder, but to move. Your best ideas are waiting for you, but they probably aren't at your desk. I'll see you in the next deep dive.